but it doesn't need to be like that, and it shouldn't be like that. You should be continuing to advertise. You should be continuing to stay creative, promoting the thing that you last promoted, or finding new ways to talk about it until the next thing comes around. And doing this.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast, brought to you by Entrepreneur.io.
What's up, indies? Welcome back to Creative Juice. This is the podcast where we cover growing and monetizing a fan base and building a music career with marketing strategies that are working right now based on what we see every single day inside our music marketing agency and across our community of thousands of artists and bands. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. This is episode 402, and I'm your host, Jack McCarthy. With me, as always, is Circa. Circa, what's up, dude?
Not a whole lot, friend. Just ready to podcast.
Me too, man. This episode is going to be fun. The prompt for this episode comes from a question that I get from artists on a really regular basis. Artists and their teams, too.
When's the last time an artist asked you this question?
Probably like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, probably like 2 weeks ago.
Very often.
This is probably like 2 weeks ago. I know that when people lead with prompts like, I get this question asked regularly.
People be full of shit.
Yeah, they don't mean it. But when I say that I get this question regularly, I really mean it. So I'm glad that you called me on it so I could be honest and be like, yeah, somebody asked me this like 2 weeks ago.
I'm here to keep you above board, brother.
I can think of the person who asked me.
What's their address?
I can't say that. I'd rather not disclose. I get this question a lot. Things like, it comes in the form of like, how do I stay ahead? How do I stay at the absolute top of my game? I want to be the best at my craft. That is an especially pointed way that this question gets asked. And so this episode is our reflection on 4 ways to answer those kinds of questions and to stand out against, I think, like 99% of other artists in the process. So we're going to give you guys 4 things to think about that you can be doing to answer those questions if you have them about your own music career. And I think that these are going to spark some interest, maybe a little bit of debate, and I'm psyched to get into it. The first one is create a piece of content every single day. And maybe this is a well-worn trope at this point in like content creator era, but the reason that I wanted to talk about this specific tactic or this specific habit is because the consistency in creating content, even if you don't need it or end up using it, is going to allow you to build. It's like weightlifting, right? It builds the muscles for doing and allows you to stay consistent when you do actually need the content or when you are actually going to post it.
You know, deep down, I want to argue with this one. It's because that's just my nature. I'm a contrarian by nature, but I agree with it. I would start forming my mouth to say, well, I've never really actually hit like a consistency. I don't have any unbroken streaks in content creation.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like it hasn't been infinite days since
that's
my
not
last
true. That's not true. We do the podcast every single week.
That's true. That's a fact. But how are comedy podcasts that came out like around or after us at like 1,000 episodes and we're not? Sometimes I'll like watch it. They're like, it's episode 1300. I'm like, how?
I know.
We have the same schedule. But that said, I do though, like if we're saying create content, not finish content, not finish and publish content, but just create it. Just make it. I am in the act of making almost every day in some form or another.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's writing down sometimes it's recording a voice note. Sometimes it's writing down a text note. Sometimes it's live streaming like before my work day. Sometimes, like it takes many forms, but if I were following a maxim, I probably would miss less days. And it's okay. Like it's actually easy to find a type of content you want to create if you're like a creative. I feel like locking yourself into, I will create content for this pursuit, this group or this act or this band or this my artist career or whatever. That can be a bit stifling, just, or it can be unnecessary pressure when you inevitably fail that goal.
That's a really good point. I think, and that's a helpful caveat, or like, and maybe not even a caveat, like a guidepost of like, when what we're talking about here.
We're not telling you to competition squat with a belt. We're telling you get some leg work in.
Right.
At all.
Yeah, 100%. And don't limit yourself.
I'm not telling you to go for 1 rep max on a competition squat.
It's easy to say, like, make an Instagram reel every day. In practice, that's hard to do. But when we might say, like, make an Instagram reel a few times a week and do a live stream and create content that flows with like your energy level and for what you want to do, just find a few areas that you can work within. Don't try to confine yourself to one if that feels like it's going to squeeze you and make it so that you can't actually hit the target.
I'm so skeptical of idioms and common folksy advice, and so a lifelong skeptic. That said, it's true. Like, there's a natural like pressure to it, a good pressure, which is if you're like making songs, or like, let's say you're writing songs every day, or you are filming some content but not editing it or whatever, right? You have pieces of like what will become finished work. You're accumulating it. Even if you don't do the other necessary processes, just having that volume makes it very unlikely that you're gonna never do that. So if I'm recording videos, like if I'm recording the video portion of what will become an edited video, and I don't have the screen grabs and I don't have the text and the transcript, I don't have everything that I need, but I'm just recording film, video clips. Chances are I'm eventually going to like make it into a video. I'm going to get tired of having this stuff lying around, or I'll get curious, or I'll get inspired. So giving yourself sort of the right environment in which to get inspired for the next step. Do the part that's easy all the time, and the part that's hard can come as it comes, but just be flexing that muscle and be ready for the part that's hard. Meaning like you've done all the parts that's easy. You're not redoing that, and you can like, edit down a video and release it, or, you finish a song and put it out, whatever.
Yeah. 100%. I totally agree.
You win this one, Jack McCarthy.
Thank you. I'm going to pat myself on the back. I've got a trophy. It's just past the camera here. We're giving out awards, participation trophies for you and I for these 4.
Wouldn't it be hilariously juvenile if I had a scoreboard?
The next one is start thinking of your fans as customers. I don't hear this talked about enough. And what this does for you is it forces you to think about how you serve your fans differently, and it forces you to think about customer service. I was just having a conversation with somebody about this yesterday, and how important I think this is in music, especially when fans get described by artists and their teams as like this amorphous mass of people, and you don't actually think about how you can be serving those fans. And when I say serving, I don't necessarily just mean like, oh, my customer service is really good when someone has a problem. I mean serving people as in, am I really doing the things that I know that my fans want? Am I giving them opportunities to get involved with me in ways that they think are cool? Am I offering them stuff that they actually like? When you start to think of your fans like customers, you start to think of them that way. It's not saying just think of your fans as like transactional customers. I'm saying think of them as customers that you serve. And we could even go like a step further from this and think about your fans as customers, and then as customers as clients, which is like a Jay Abraham sort of idiom of, take the idea of like a transactional customer and think of them instead as like a client, someone who is under your protection is the idea, someone that you want to serve at the highest level.
Yeah. I mean, like, to a certain degree, right? Fan is kind of a nebulous term. Like, customer is the originating term, dude.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? Like, customer or patron. Because the arts, the arts used to be supported by patronage. Like, if you were a composer, like you were sponsored by a king or a prince or whatever. You weren't.
Yeah. They loved your stuff and they gave you money to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So they sponsored you. That's why you had a living. And like, I think maybe you charge for like first performances or something, like public showings, but maybe not. Maybe those are just public goods. But just to say that, like, it started off with transactions. Who is the fan of you? What does it mean in medieval times that you're like, you liked a performance you saw of an artist that like maybe you remember the name of? They did a symphony.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like it's meaningless, right?
They did a mass.
Right. Yeah. Like a patron, you know that's the fan. That is the fan. And so to a degree, like businesses just never made this abstraction of like a fan. Oh, you're a fan of my brand, which like, I guess they do, but that's also like to them, like they place priorities correctly, I think, in most businesses. It's just like, yeah, no, I do have fans of my brand, but that's so that they are customers. If I don't want only fans. I don't want OnlyFans, dude. Don't want it.
Well, it's true. Like businesses, generally speaking, I think they look at fandom as like further down in the customer journey, more like advocates than they do like fans that are just kind of casual, floating around, orbiting you that don't really do anything.
Such a foreign concept to tell a business like, yeah, you got your fans, that's your bigger list, and then your customers is your smaller list. Like, no. No, all fans are customers. This is the SAT question. All fans are customers, not all customers are fans.
I think this is a really important shift to make in your thinking about your audience. This will set you apart in how you think about your fan base. And it'll allow you to create experiences for your fans in all sorts of ways that other artists are probably not even scratching the surface to think about.
Yeah, and like psychologically too, like you have to understand how preposterous like our side is. We're the weird ones. Like we're like, right, like if I go up to like a carpenter and I'm like, dude, you're doing a really great, I really love how you do what you do. And they're like, cool, man. Like, do you need some work? And I'm like, no. I don't need anything from you. I'm not going to give you any money, but just you're great.
Please put your gloves and hard hat on, sir. You are way too close to the construction site.
Yeah. That would be weird, right? And I get that that's a ridiculous like comparison, but that's the other end of the extreme. And between that, in the middle ground, there's like similarly ridiculous comparisons, right? So yeah, I think it matters a lot more that like it matters that you care about like your fans becoming customers or being customers in the first place. Because if you can make that mindset shift, then it'll put all the necessary pressures in place. Not to say that you don't care about people who haven't purchased from you yet, but that you're not prioritizing their every need at the behest of like, think about this. An artist will have 2 shirts for people who want to actually pay for their music career and like maybe a vinyl. And they will have like all the media in the world for free for the person who doesn't pay.
Yeah.
They literally cater to people who aren't supporting their career. And they literally ignore the people who want to.
Just let that one sit for a second.
Just let that sink in, dude.
Yeah. That's so good. I don't have anything else to say about that one.
I think we nailed that one.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say about that one. You have to start thinking of your fans as customers at every level. At every level.
For the love of God, please.
Yeah, please. The next of these 4, if you want to be staying at the top of your game, this is a conversation that I had actually like a month ago, and I feel like I have this conversation often also. But I had a conversation about a month ago with a client of ours at the agency. We've been promoting a release of theirs for quite a long time now. And he made a passing comment to me of like, well, I guess if it's not, I guess if the people haven't seen it yet, then that means it's not old to them. And I was like, yes, man. Thank you.
You said the line.
Yeah, he said the line. And what I mean to say, tactically speaking about that is you need to always be advertising. And if you watch artists out in the wild and you pay attention to the promotional efforts of a lot of artists, they stop when they don't have something new. They kind of disappear when something becomes a little bit older and maybe they don't have the next single in the can. This is especially true of artists who aren't particularly prolific or on a really rigid release schedule. And you see these dips in advertising when they don't have a new song to promote or they don't have a new tour coming up. and things just kind of go quiet for a minute and then it spikes up again when it's time. But it doesn't need to be like that, and it shouldn't be like that. You should be continuing to advertise. You should be continuing to stay creative, promoting the thing that you last promoted or finding new ways to talk about it until the next thing comes around. And doing this, well, one, it'll keep you like kind of creatively sharp, I would say. It'll force you to channel your creativity into your marketing. But two, it'll keep your fans engaged. It'll keep them sticking around. It'll make them feel like, all right, this person's not just like, lights on, lights off. And I think that that's really important.
Yeah, I'm going to see how quick I'm able to get through this now. So for those of you who are newer to the podcast, you probably haven't heard me like do this whole bit, but basically like there have always been hits, but in the 1950s, some indie labels that for which like the evil empire was like CBS Records and a couple other record companies that don't exist. These indie labels run by Italian mobsters and Jewish mobsters too, like Morris Levy. They figured out that they could just pay radio station DJs. There were no laws in place that were against this. Radio stations had broadcast licenses from the government so they could broadcast to everyone's radio. And so a government, like a public good, was being coerced, bribed by indie labels to play the right records and say that they were hits. That made these records go huge, and then they could make big money. And then it became, well, we need more hits. We don't really care. Like, the hits are where all the money is. So let's just focus on the hits. We'll make really great records, and then we will make sure that we're the person paying the radio DJ the most. And that continued through the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, and the 90s. And there's also payola charges in the 2000s as well. So it's like kept going. And then it morphed and manifested in other ways. But ultimately, this is how the industry came to value only first week sales, because it was a good barometer of whether you have momentum. And momentum is important in that regime of, we're going to turn and burn 1,000 artists. In that, there will be a few hits, and those hits will pay for all the stuff we burn, this shelved artists that we gave advances. And so now you have an industry that's addicted to only caring about first week, first month, debut album, debut single, these kinds of like first impressions, because they indicate momentum. Now, momentum's great. You can have momentum as an artist, and it's great if you go and you release a record and all of a sudden it's going really well. People are reviewing it you didn't expect to. It got placed on a big playlist. People want to sync it. Whatever happens, that can be great. But it's most likely not going to happen a broad majority of the times, because in record labels, it doesn't happen 99.99% of the time. And so the likelihood that it's going to happen to you any given time is almost none. And so what then do you have? Well, you're not a momentum player. You don't care about what it does in the first week. You do not care about what it looks like a year in. All you care about is, are you making progress towards discovering a means to continually promote it at a profit? Meaning, are you able to show people it and they like it and they end up buying shit and it ends up paying for you, like what it costs to show it to people? If you can do that, it doesn't matter momentum. It doesn't matter. So nothing is ever old, because first week is not an expiration date. And so everything that you've ever learned about the music industry, everyone you've ever talked to in the music industry has this background, inbuilt presupposition that's ancient, that like this matters, and it doesn't matter. It's because you're an artist. You're not a record label. So that's my spiel. And hopefully that teaches you why you're pressured to like care about what an album does in its first month. You shouldn't give a shit. Do they scrap the new Tesla model if it doesn't sell out like in the first month? No, they don't, dude. They made a product, they're going to sell it.
Think about how many artists you've discovered, and then think about how many artists you've discovered just when they happen to release something new.
Yeah, we mentioned this on the podcast, but it was like, as far as I can remember, all the examples I can think of, I remember getting into an artist and then being there for their next album.
Yeah, me too.
And the inevitable disappointment it brings.
If you want to learn more about the music industry regime that created this, Hitman is the book, right? Or is one of the books that you can learn about.
Hitman, and then Appetite for Self-Destruction.
Appetite for Self-Destruction.
Steve Hopper. We had him on the podcast, actually. We had the author of that on the podcast.
Great books. Super good books. This is the last one about staying on top of your game. And I think this is especially true today. This will be especially true going into the future. It's going to evolve. It's going to morph. It's going to change. As you know, I am always a big proponent of setting up when it comes to any kind of tech, setting up opportunities to treat things like a playground for yourself. And AI is no exception to that. Find ways to use AI in your music career. Lots of artists are avoiding it. Tons of people are fading it. Let it be a playground for your creativity, from things like writing copy to anything else that you can possibly imagine, making your processes and systems easier, working with your band or your team. There's so much that you can do, and you should be experimenting. You should be experimenting with ChatGPT. You should be experimenting with Claude and other tools. You should be learning about MCPs and how these AI tools can interact with any of the other tech tools that you use in your business, especially online stuff. You should spend time exploring that.
Yes, you should be using Entrepreneur's AI tools. Oh, wait. I have been using Suno, the new V5 model, and it's really good. I dare to say that it's like, it has the capability to be all there. Like, it's all there, but it's just not reliable or consistent. But like things I said maybe 2 years ago, where I was like, probably in the next 5 years, you're going to have this, that, and the other. It's all coming true. And it's like here. So like, I've been using Suno V5 over the last week to take all of the songs. As a songwriter, I accumulate a lot of songs that are like kind of personal, in the sense that I think they're cool or could be good, but I don't know any producers who are psyched to make like this genre of music, right? Like all my producer friends are like avant-garde, like production heads who don't really want to make a conventional pop song. And so I have just tons of scraps of ideas, even finished songs. And I started putting them into Suno and basically eking out a process by which I can finish them. Finish meaning like I listen to it, there's no real hints that it's AI, and it's a banger, dude. It's a bop. And once you hear something you wrote and an AI made it, how like if everything went right in your journey to make it over multiple months, this is how it would sound. And you just like did it in an instant. It's sort of, it like puts you face to face. So you have to contend with things like, for instance, like immediately when I tell people about it, they're like, oh, cool. So what are you going to like take ideas from it? Like the generations, are you going to take ideas from them? Are you going to sing over the instrumental? You're going to get the stems and like sing it now? And I have to contend with the idea that like, why? Like, why?
Yeah.
I don't know that I need to do that. I don't know that I need to sing. I mean, like, one, the first time I do it, even the first session I do it, it's going to be worse than this. And it might be the case that my voice actually can't make this type of song because my voice is not right for this song. Am I going to get someone else to do it? Why would I do that? There's like all these questions that come up. And so if you're not at least experimenting with and understanding what is possible with a technology like that, I think you're being stubborn. You're being very stubborn. Yeah.
Well, and there's so many of these light bulb moments with all kinds of AI platforms. I mean, I was just last week, I was working on a project here at the agency where I was analyzing consulting calls and using ChatGPT as my assistant to build processes off of them. And not only that, I was taking those processes and creating a feedback loop for creating content around those processes. And you can apply that same sort of thinking to yourself as an artist. Think about this. Maybe you do an interview or podcast, or you're, shooting some content with somebody before a show, like a green room session or something like that. And you take the transcript and you feed it into an AI, and then you get boatloads of things that you can use. It. You can create email marketing campaigns from those things that you said. You can create your captions for Instagram. You can create your captions for your TikTok posts. You can chunk it down into little short form content. There's so much that you can do. And when you have those little spark moments of like, oh, and your eyes kind of go wide for a second, that's when you know that like you're experimenting in a playground. You kind of hit that flow state a little bit, and you're experimenting creatively in a playground that you know is benefiting you. I find that this happens to me like on a very regular basis, week to week, when I'm playing with AI tools. And I know that it can be the same with music AI, it can be the same with ChatGPT or Claude, it can be some of the note-taking AI apps. I do a lot of work in N8N, which is an AI workflow builder. That's getting into like nerdy sort of automation stuff. There's so much.
There is. I do want to stress and reiterate though, like with respect to music AI, before we close out, is that like maybe a week or 2 weeks ago we had this conversation about like what can you do with a music career with AI? And it's like, oh, you can make copy, or oh, you can do this like back, this secretarial process. And that was like sort of our copy, like AI is going to change the future. What can I do with it? Oh, you can write copy for like ads. Like,
yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'm a musician. Like that's like 1% maybe of what I ever have to do. Like, what else can I do? And now, like, I really do believe, like, I'm sort of an advocate for this idea that, like, no matter where you are on the chain, whether you songwrite, produce, perform, play, whatever, mix, you should be experimenting with music AI. And also, it's like there's an opportunity right now. I did want to communicate that. It's like I went to Suno and I listened to all the songs that are on the front page, like all of them that load when the front page loads. I went into Suno AI's Reddit subreddit and I looked at like roundups where people submit their songs to get reviewed, and they keep like a running top 30, and they're all garbage, dude. Not to mean like because I'm not talking about people's music. They didn't write these songs. AI wrote these songs.
Yeah.
It's all trash. And so there's a clear difference between someone who is a musician and knows what they're doing with song structure and writing, and someone who's not, generating with AI. It's a night and day difference. If you have the ability to create your own prompts, audio prompts that are convincing, or at least in the direction, they communicate the direction of what you're trying to get at. And this can be for an instrument, it can be for a whole song, it can be for a vocal part, it can be for harmonies that you want to like figure out how to program these harmonies, whatever. It's like, as a musician, it truly is a tool, because it's the difference between a tool and a magic button is that the layman can't use a magic button, or can't use a tool, right?
Yeah.
Layman's can use a magic button. This isn't a magic button, dude. I've heard it. It's garbage. It's like, I'm never listening to this. Even if I was like playing a video game, I would not listen to this.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad, dude. And it's like so many artifacts of the AI are still in it. It's like they literally had an AI generate the lyrics, AI generate the song, no audio in prompt. And then like, that's what they're putting out. And that's AI music. And then everyone who could generate good music is currently like fading it. They're currently like, oh, AI, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wow, all the people who would be sick at this are fading the opportunity, and all the people who are like excited about it are not sick at this. This is clearly an arbitrage. This is something like, there's an opportunity here. There's literally no one out there uncynically saying, oh, I create AI music, and they're like, and it's dope. Like, I can't point to one. I don't know any YouTuber who's like, yeah, I make exclusively AI bangers, and they're all sick. So anyways, that's the opportunity. And if you didn't know, like, go play around with it.
100%. So to recap for you guys, ways to stay on top of your game, ways to stay sharp, honing your craft, and getting ahead of 99% of other artists. Create content every single day, literally every single day. Create a piece of content. Start thinking about your fans as customers, because that will change the way that you think about your fan relationships and how you serve them. Always be advertising, ABA, and start playing with AI, because there's so much you can do.
Yeah, that's good.
I hope you guys dug this. I hope it helps you to think about the answer to those questions. If you've been asking that, if you've been wondering how to get ahead of other artists, this will help you do it.
If you were desperate to see your fellow artists be left in the dust, if that's what you were after, we got your back.
Decimate them.
Crush the competition.
The only person you're competing against is yourself. and this is a good way to do it.
True.
So get after it. We'll see you guys next time on Creative Juice. Peace.
East Coast, West Coast, say what?